All right. So I actually just mentioned the first piece that brought me to Twitter, and that seems like a good place to start out. I'd actually mentioned earlier today that with the censorship going on and some of the accounts we see dropping left and right, that I need to start kind of treating every platform I'm given like it's my last potential platform I'll be given. So with that in mind, I tried to really condense everything I would want to say, especially mentions of our healthcare situation or lack thereof. So this is the first song of the night off of The Virus. This is called Town Hall. In these days of global disaster, all the money disappears with the fame. I'll say what I want and burn my masters, and I suggest you do the same. Hear my words, but don't breathe the air. You and I needn't speak to share. I'm so sick of waiting now. I feel sick, so I'm laying down. Hear my words, but don't breathe the air. You and I needn't speak to share. I'm so sick of waiting now. I feel sick, so I'm laying down. Laying down. Alright, I won't name names, so we won't call legal. We'll call him Bo Jiden, and he killed Glass-Steagall. He's on the trail, off the rails, profits over people. But I won't call him a Nazi, cause I haven't seen his equal. But I have seen his equal, and he just left the White House. I've seen his equal, and she lost the fight twice now. I've seen the evil in a man who'd shake the hands of workers, knowing they were slaving for a feeble wage and little purpose, all to keep afloat his bloated lifestyle. All to keep us focused on our phones in the meanwhile. So if I'm a broken record, this has been a time trial. But I will not go quietly into the future I'm supposed to hand to my child. I will not politely hold my tongue when I see voters in the web of suppression. So I'm about to burn the list of things we shouldn't mention. Alzheimer's causes bouts of both confusion and aggression. Causes sentences that fall apart in paper-thin patience. Well, I have not spent the past 4 years practicing critiques only to need them for the next administration. And part of me would love to vote for Trump to really stuff you Biden diatribe junkies who would tie me to a chair to watch him push out Bernie Sanders, say he needs to just accept the loss, have your little celebration. Well, I don't know about you, but I had too much love for this misguided nation. So I can't take another president who treats the world like he's a wealthy tourist, just too good to talk to us Haitians. My only choice should not have to be trading one president who chews at the Achilles heel of race relation, who played up all our prejudices, fears, and darkest motivations, for one who hands us over to the corporations like we've all been sex trafficked. And God, I wish that was exaggeration, but it's just part nightmare, part fascination. It's mostly fascists saying we're a cushion generation, while they got the funding made to lift you out your station, while you miss your shift at your third job because you can't afford your medication. And now the pain of your mobility is tied into the need to keep afloat and keep your family just the side of devastation. Well, honey, here's the catch to immunization. Now you might get to have a say in what they give your baby, but in 20 years your baby better be prepared to pay right through the nose to be inoculated. So don't you be surprised when all your insulin is confiscated, cause someone found a buyer who's prepared to hike the price up even higher. And if you land in a coma, just as well, because you're out the conversation. You're not around to stage a demonstration. You're not around to protest human rights being eliminated. You're not around to protest all these voters being silenced and intimidated. Maybe you can hear it in my intonation. One man's revolution is another's renovation. One hand better wash the other or it's amputated. And God, I hate to be so black and white, but gray has led us straight into the mist and now the lamp is faded. And I don't think that we have very long before the night is falling quicker than anticipated. quicker than the stocks crashed, quicker than your IRA was withered and emaciated. So baby, why obey the men who solve a crisis that they orchestrated? Why are we so pleased to see a corpse get up and speak that we ignore the way the corpse debated? That he spoke in fragmented misinformation, and that he tried to make an honest man's mistake out of a fabrication. While all the major networks eat it up and tolerate it. So whose side are they on if they can point it out in Trump, but act like they don't see it in the man they want to call our savior? God, who keeps paying you to do such sick, dishonest labor? Oh shit, we do? No shit, me too? Everything you buy will find a way to own or eat you. The companies that feed you fund agendas to defeat you. Strip your wits away, rip your wick away. Ultimately put you in a place you have to loot to feed your kid today. And then detain and beat you. How is such an obvious process not see-through? At least not without a UV light. This year will purge our liberties with zero end in sight. So if you couldn't cast a vote that gave you hope about our plight, if you picked up the pen but in your heart it wasn't right, and you thought about the millions going hungry every night, did you have the guts to write in Bernie, or have the guts to fight? Oh, hear my words, but don't breathe the air. You and I needn't speak to share. I'm so sick of the waiting now. I feel sick, so I'm laying down. Hear my words, but don't breathe the air. You and I needn't speak to share. I'm so sick of the waiting now. I feel sick, so I'm laying down. Laying down. Hear my words, there's no time to spare. We killed democracy, it's rotting in the square. And with its last breath, it cursed the very air with that toxic miasma of class warfare. Convulsions were brief. It seized for a minute, then it ceased to fidget. It was just deep sleep in a citywide gibbet. A lot of sweet nothings like the rations we were given. A film crew followed them into the city limits to document the distribution. A little piece of human interest in the mass confusion. Some nice shots of a clean white van, and neighbors helping neighbors with their clean white hands. Never mind the boxes being empty like the cans. Never mind a photo op that didn't feed a single man. And this is nothing you could blame on one single man, or his supporting an immoral horde of sycophants. We set the stage, we wrote the play, we gave the man a script, and highlighted every line he had to say. We're only in this boat because we chose to sail away. We never poured out the decay, we let it spread. And then we watched the nation warp into the noxious dictatorship it is today. We made conditions perfect. It's almost like we want it this way. Hear my words, but don't breathe the air. You and I needn't speak to share. I'm so sick of the waiting now. I feel sick, so I'm laying down. Hear my words, but don't breathe the air. You and I needn't speak to share. I'm so sick of the waiting now. I feel sick, so I'm laying down. Laying down. Laying down. And that's Town Hall. All right, we're gonna switch up to something very new, actually, from one of the first political things I put out to something I haven't technically released yet. This piece, this is going to be off of a forthcoming record that I promise I'm working on, and will be out as soon as humanly possible, called The Grift. And this is called The Oil Baron Rescue Plan. couldn't have been me, sir. I was front row in my AOC t-shirt, foie gras sucking on a press release, sir. My head down, fourth shot, good little sheep, sir. Sit down, sweetie, the adults are gonna speak first. They trust the science and are terrified of research. Here to thank our healthcare heroes, they've been feeding to the burnout feet first. Till suddenly they dip mid-shift, take a header off a bridge. Such a shame, they were really such a sweet nurse. Now they'll never get the card and the cold slice of pizza meant to thank them for their teamwork. And now they'll never get the baggie full of checks mixed, which would be the one reward they'd see for the moms they had to intubate, and all the countless cries of grief since we've been haunted by the specter of the C-word. No, now all the applause for our healthcare heroes rings a very hollow note because we played it out like Freebird. Now the ones and zeros and our fragile checks and balances are checks for all the wealthy who have such unholy talents that we think it's patriotic that we all have zero balances. And re-elect Pelosi, social face our toughest challenges, which is analogous to water for a drowning man. Nancy disregards our impoverished with a spiteful and dismissive little waving of her withered hand. 'Cause 500,000 freezing on the streets is Biden's winter plan. And I bet you swore they told you were voting for a different man. But really all you wanted was a different man. It didn't make a fucking difference if he finishes the previous inhabitant's agenda and starts auctioning protected land. No, Biden's born to leap at any war a donor's check demands. Turns out you can't cure greed once it infects a man. Once they lose respect for human life and focus all their fucking efforts on the oil baron rescue plan. Honey, what are we to Hecuba or Hecuba to us that if she's starving we should give a damn? No, why should we be moved to tears if someone isn't eating? We won't even recognize that food is essential to our being. It's just us in Israel who will not guarantee that food's a basic human right. Because starvation is our favorite tool of genocide disguised as sanctioned democratic healing. That's me in the corner, losing my religion, gouging out my eyes and then dancing on the ceiling. Jesus fucking Christ, what a feeling. And that is the Oil Baron Rescue Plan. This next song will require a little sample action, and my feature of the evening, albeit an artificial one, Franco of Frank Analysis. The day of the Capitol Hill slumber party, he went to attend the protest, and as we all know, he was quickly shouted down by Cori Bush. And I asked his permission to sample the moment where he was drowned out by the music, as he said, people still owe money, as they still do to this day, actually. So with that said, this is a song called Love Your Prison, about eating up that big old bowl of incrementalism and loving every minute of it. It looks to me as though you learned to love your prison. I guess you'd say you made it your own. Who knew that freedom's such a difficult decision? I bet you finally feel like you're home. Home. Right in the center where the halves meet. You were proud of incremental half speeds. You were getting down in that AOC dance line, hands tied, nodding to the backbeat. You would Secret Service dive in front of any representative alive, being asked for the very bare minimum. And you'll turn into that same kind of hard right villain you detested, should we mention they could ever muster maximum. Cause liberal denial's such a lofty ataraxia, where all your morals take a backseat, not up in the cab, but in hidden panels made by federal human traffickers. If you trust the autopilot, then you're just a sleeping passenger, passively accepting that it isn't us the bastards serve, making peace with all the evil walking on this rancid earth, and seeking unity with those who bound your hands at birth, glancing up at fascists on a bloody dais, thinking they just need a push. No, I'm not a holy man, but I'm praying for a burning bush. Yeah, I know you'd love to look away, but love, you need to look. Honey, there are many massacres this country manufactured that will never make the books. Now here's your fucking book. It looks to me as though you learned to love your prison. I guess you'd say you made it your own. Who knew that freedom's such a difficult decision? I bet you finally feel like your home. Home on the range of excuses, justify some fracking, water down pollution, paint a fresh coat of bipartisan charm over backroom collusion. Your consent is being manufactured by illusions, marketing executives in federal seclusion, working day and night to keep you just this side of lucid, and to be down for calling out abuses. So fuck all these progressives who could speak on revolution once they emptied all your powder out and spit on all your fuses. No, I prefer to judge a leader not by quality of tweets, but the six-figure book deals she chooses. All the donors he betrays, the donors he would gladly take a bullet before he refuses. And all the slogans he reuses, buzzwords he produces that he spews like mucus. Well, two can play at that. So here's the inner dialogue of every time I snap, and it's been fine-tuned to ruthless and saying politics are useless. Just a bunch of loose lips, tweeting cute shit, power suits, taxpayer booze trips, and bunkers at the ready when the shoe flips. When there will be no news clips, there will just be looks to me as though you learned to love your prison. I guess you'd say you made it your own. Who knew that freedom's such a difficult decision? I bet you finally feel like your own. All right. This next song is off of an album called Inauguration Gift. And I would like to dedicate this one to Mr. Sharif Snuggs, who was the first person that really invited me into the fight for healthcare. Invited me to perform at the Medicare for All March in Columbus last summer. And this song, he told me was a personal favorite of his. And I think he's responsible for most of my plays of this song on Bandcamp. So Sharif, thank you for everything you've done for me, everything you do for the fight. And this is Sharif's song. This is called Ugly Fucking Christmas. One man's silent auction is another's trial. in a system designed to see you suicidal. And funny, we don't hear a peep out of Kendrick Bay or Jay-Z, but we just see a lot of silent idols with all their heads up their asses like the fascists made them hide somewhere parallel to Pylon Idol. Like they've let us off the lead, but we know that in our hearts we will always taste the bridle. Now I am not JPEG Mafia or honorary PNG Yakuza. Label owns your masters and your masters want their profits up. So they said you couldn't diss Biden, you have to stay silent. So shut your fucking mouth and watch me cough it up. God, I'll kill it, then I'll bury it. I'll piss right on the grave, she said I'll maybe dig the coffin up. Cause they want you and me softened up. That's why they try crying unity. Preach it to my face and watch me catch a case faster than we should have ended qualified immunity. Hide from the truth, I'll pull you out and school you, honey, you can call it truancy. Ash as far as you can see, out across the ruins, let it sink in, let it ruin all your dopamine. I take my haze a wider shade of aubergine. My words are just the go-between for all this fucking acid and out-of-date famotidine. I say my piece, drop the mic, bleed out all my chromosomes and blow the scene. And I will not be coming back, so love us or leave us or mislead us to Iraq. I'm violence over science and your faith over facts. We're all up for auction, honey, we cannot relax. We coronated Biden and I didn't cut a track. I just stared into the ether, hearing everyone react, hearing that collective sigh of liberal satisfaction, cause you all went fucking batshit for a bigot geriatric who magically regains his faculties to slap your daughter's ass, and even though she's 8, you let it happen. Just like all these fucking garbage politicians serve their kids up on a platter during photo ops designed to let them leech a little power and significance directly from the head slave master, the author of imprisonment, who partnered with the sentencer of innocence, telling you they're here to heal the soul of old America. And clearly that's just code for we are here to watch you starve and serve our bigot benefactors. Now cue the canned Kamala laughter, comma distractor, comma less schools, more jails, more fracking, more wars, comma blood dollars, comma Kamala laughing. Fuck it, honey, more reactors. Biden says build back better, but the man learned better from the likes of those who stood for Jim Crow by the letter. So you cannot convince me that a man who spent a lifetime swallowing the sermons of a guy like Strom Thurmond ends up anything but Kissinger with Mr. Rogers' sweater. So I'm out the party. Won't be coming back. Let them love us or leave us or mislead us to Iraq. Let Kamala deceive us with some sneakers and a laugh, but they will not address the other half. If they acknowledge our predicament, they have to say why they dismissed us. And nobody in Congress has the guts to look this nation in the face and explain how they've let us waste away to afford all the comforts they need to maintain all their opulence and stingy, inhumane existence. So it's gotta be an ugly fucking Christmas. And we will not be coming back. Let them love us or leave us or mislead us to Iraq. I'm violence over science, if your faith over facts. We're all up for auction, honey, we cannot relax. Not be coming back, let them love us or leave us or mislead us to Iraq. I'm violence over science, if your faith over facts. We're all up for auction, honey, we cannot relax. All right. One more song off of The Virus. And this song, when I wrote it, I did not think anyone was going to really go for this song. I had a feeling this was going to be one of those that was kind of just for Jesse. But I was very happy to have this song end up being something that gets requested in the chat, typically on quite a few interviews and stuff. And I'm really just so so happy that this song was able to mean something to some other people. This is Militia Intent. We're going to take just a second to tune up, folks. I am coming to you live from my basement, and it has taken a decided dip into the chili tonight. wildly wrong. Much better. My cat doesn't have his ears back. That's always a good barometer. All right, Militia Intent, take 2. You can keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your head. No, I play civil if you won't listen, of 50,000 dead. Now we know our mission, we form a militia, make Congress a prison. No, I play civil when all these dead won't make you listen. What's more American than slaying your oppressors? What's more American than liberty or death first? No, I thought we were founded on abolishing the tyranny of those who would starve a village all to live empirically. And I regret that I have only one life to give for my cause now that I can see the cause so clearly. See, I want our leaders, regardless of party, to fear me. That I will pick my targets and assassinate them lyrically. That I will bring them out into the town square, hook them to the pillory and leave them there. And Hillary, I'll see you there. Nah, Hillary, I'll see you there. You can't keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Why play civil when you would listen to 100,000 dead? And now we know our mission, we form a militia, make Congress a prison. So I play civil when all these dead won't make you listen. Welcome to the fantasy of rhetoric. And welcome to the last of the free speech while we can get it. And I promise you can get it. All you corporate Democrats, second wave Confederates, GOP illusionists and neo-Nazi bureaucrats. And Stephen fucking Miller, I will see you in the aftermath. When all the laws are dust and there's just moral justice after that. I would hunt you through the wasteland if it comes to that. Just so I could rub you in the dirt like a cheap human Brillo pad. I can sleep fine when our beds are burning, Stephen, but I'll turn around and run into the blaze to get my pillow back. As long as I could lay my head down, I can live with that. I can deal with a little ash. I could feel like a little of the old me burn with the bed and the rest of my past. The old world where we all lived and we can't get back. The old world where you didn't give and you'd still get back. Where you could rake in 12 billion and give none back. Well, those days are behind us. The virus will kill all of that. Your wealth is behind us and kindness is meant for the past. Our leaders would bind us and starve us and call it a fast. Just a sacrament meant for their God that they garnish in cash. They feed it the poor by the hundreds. That's all that it asks. Its hunger is legion and people in need are all it will have. Our only chance is to starve it and watch as it turns on them. You can keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Can keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. And that is Militia Intent. All right, I have one more song and then a spoken word piece, and that'll be it for me. This is this song started with, like a lot of these other pieces, just an expression of frustration with the hopelessness we're staring down right now. And then halfway through kind of turned around to realizing that at some point, and it's a different point for everybody, that hopelessness and that feeling of powerlessness turns into the anger that you need to force the change, to come together and make a change happen. So this is another song that will be on the Grift. This is called Powerless. They'll gladly pay you by the hour for a minute or so, so you can sign off on the towers where they'll piss on your home. And if you feel like you're just powerless to answer them no, it's 'cause you are. They'll gladly pay you by the hour for a minute or so, so you can sign off on the towers where they'll piss on your home. And if you feel like you're just powerless to answer them no, it's 'cause you are. It's 'cause you are. They'll gladly stagnate a living wage, snap the chains and bury it. Labor slaves in rusty cages dragged behind a chariot, led by Mr. Racial Jungle, Joseph R. Iscariot, fighting over scraps as they barrage us all with variants and BuzzFeed clickbait, straight until we're paralyzed, trying to distract us from the concentration camps that Joe had swore he'd close but only chose to amplify. 50-something kids in cages made for 5 to occupy. And no, she hasn't seen the camps, but Harris swears they're paradise. She tells us the facilities are safe, and that right down to the women, they are regularly sterilized. And then she throws her head back and she proceeds to laugh, that sort of heartless cackle you'd expect from someone working steadfastly on behalf of the virus and a Congress full of parasites. And where was I? I was busy cashing every blue check, demonstrating plainly all the narratives expected from the verified. I was busy breeding verbal leeches by the terabyte, trained them to exsanguinate the wealthy while they sleep at night, bleed the oil barons dry and barren, say they showed us how to share and now we share alike. Tell them I contracted rabies from a feral mic, and now I'm just another species losing sleep to noise pollution in these glaring lights, forced to change its habits and adapt to just survive. But now it's safe to say that some of us are thriving in the moment, throwing shit on presidential homes beneath the Paris skies. So if you feel like you're just powerless, I guess you bought the lie. But I can tell they're petrified of our collective might, and I can hear those gentrifiers weeping at the sight of our collective rights. And I only can imagine the intensifying fear of knowing revolution's near, and all that's left to do is simply wallow in the thick anticipation of a rabbit bite. And one day you can ask your leaders just what that was like before you grab a slice. So if you think you're powerless, allow me now to change your mind. If you think you're powerless, allow me now to change your mind. See, they'll pay you hourly, tax them each apart, and build a shining tower out of loopholes and cards, and tell you that you're powerless to keep you in the dark because you aren't. Because we aren't. You see, they'll pay you hourly, tax them each apart, and make you build a shining tower out of loopholes and cards, where they'll tell you that you're powerless to keep you in the dark because you aren't. Because we aren't. And that's powerless. Whew, I need a cigarette now and even smoke. Okay, I'm closing this out with a piece that actually directly mentions the Medicare for All fight. I wrote this recently after a day I was cleaning a junk drawer, and I found a Kennedy $50, and I started thinking about what we did to the last president that was the likeliest to give us
Medicare for all, and who really talked about universal health care. And we all know the tragic end of that story. And moreover, what we do to figures like that we help take down and then twist their memory and what they stood for, and how uniquely American that is. So this is called Half Dollar. This is a spoken word piece that will be on the Grift as well. Again, I'd like to thank everybody that hung out tonight and stayed up late with me, and everyone that watched today. Please come back tomorrow and Sunday, because it's just going to keep going. And again, thank you to everyone putting this together for asking me, and it was a genuine pleasure. So here we go. This is called Half Dollar. I found a $50 in a dresser drawer. I spent the time I would have spent just staring at the floor, staring down at JFK, trying to imagine the immoral sort of irony that makes a nation feign commemoration of a man that it had murdered by the CIA, and trying to envision us if we possessed the healthcare he had talked about in '58. I guess the takeaway is it's a piece of fucking cake to celebrate somebody's bravery once you've assured they're safely in the grave. And I bet if Pat Tillman were alive today that he would say the same. And I'm sure we're in for more if they let Julian decay. I bet that they would put him on a quarter. I bet what they would name conference rooms in his honor at the IMF, the New York Times, the FBI, and Citibank. I guess the takeaway is it's a no-risk softball pitch to uplift somebody's image once their image is the one thing that remains. And the worst is when it's coming from a figurehead who's funding every agency that authored the remains. The agency that obfuscates the facts and spins a constant storm of shifting blame. I guess the takeaway is that America will sing your praises loud as day to celebrate the fact you and the threat you posed have passed away. Shit, they'll throw you a parade, and business just as usual will live another day, and all of the insurance gods will bathe in all the praise and make donations rain. And all their winged, wicked little lobbyists will blow their horns and light the flames. The ceremony starts, and they in single column march up to the weathered onyx arch and sand the marker down that bears your name. So you no longer are and never were until your hideous rebirth within the corporate frame. Until you're back from the dead and then bound for all eternity in propagandist chains. It's the very ritual that whittled down the legacy of Martin Luther King into a parable on unity for liberals to claim. And once they learned it worked, the world would never be the same. And now it's getting worse. I guess they're dialing in their aim. History is a straight line, but so's a moving train, which is heavily dependent on our infrastructure grade. Now we're building back better in a nation built on slaves, so you can guess the ultimate direction that our pathway to the future paves. They don't want you living, or they'd offer you a living wage. They don't want you feeding any homeless. It's just best to leave them freezing in the alleyway. They don't want you speaking words of hope unto the hopeless, or they'll do you up like JFK. I found a $50 in my dresser, and I spent the rest of my whole day depressed, because this constant drop in pressure means that you can catch the bends from simply sitting up in bed awake. It looks like 2022 is really not the year for you to have your lives improved. I guess you'll have to wait. But not to fret. Election season's just around the bend. Why don't you go ahead and save the date? So that you can throw yourself before the magistrate and beg to have your family saved. You don't know the people you elect to lead you more than what their ad portrays. You can't tell their offerings of saccharin and arsenic from ordinary aspartame. And you can't really comprehend the kind of greed this country feeds upon until you're Jackie O wearing close to half a brain. And probably the half that would have seen us passing M4A. And all to keep the pieces in their places in the never-ending profit game. All to weave a tapestry of ampersands. Each allows a claim adjuster room to just dismiss you with a callous hand like fuck you and your meds. Fuck you for requesting a procedure that you need so you can stand. Fuck you and your family and your poor demands. So welcome to the land where we'll assassinate a man and then put him all a $50, stadium, or stamp and proclaim ourselves the greatest country ever master planned. Killing off its citizens, enriching all its brands. And that's $50. That's my time. A little more than my time. Thank you, guys.
Sorry, didn't know I was muted. Thank you so much, Jesse. You know, I could listen to you sing the phone book pretty much. I always tell you that, and it's true.
That was awesome, brother.
What's that?
That was awesome.
Thank you. Seriously.
Really appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where can we find you? Where can people follow you and get your music?
Twitter is my main place. Anything I'm putting out, I'll mention it there first. And then my Bandcamp, which is Jesse Jett, jessejett.bandcamp.com or bandcamp.jessejett. Jesse Jett. But I'm also on Spotify as well. But we're Spotify. So yes, Bandcamp. That they've been fantastic to me.
You and Neil Young.
Yeah. Well, no, Spotify, they just don't pay artists for shit. Like literally if I wanted to get enough plays to be able to pay for my Spotify premium membership, I would be a household name. Like it's ludicrous how little they pay their artists. So yeah.
Bananas.
But
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course,
and
seriously.
Thank you for, for being so eager to say yes when I asked.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And we love you here. We love your music. So
love you guys too. Seriously.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm happy to do it.